What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the PHDJ podcast with your two hosts. I'm Joe Bunn in North Carolina, and that right there,
Mike Walter in New Jersey. Are we still saying where we're from?
Sure.
4 years later,
Why not? Why not? Could be a new listener. I think there's.
That's right. That's right. I guess we still can attract some new listeners.
We should try harder, probably.
Yeah, we probably could. Sure.
We've got our core audience, and we appreciate y'all. And I guess, Mike, before we get started, I felt like last week really kind of like trended, if you will. Or
Dude, it's funny. After all the topics we've talked about in 4 years, that one lit your ass, man. It's funny.
It was funny,
and I thought I was the one who brought it up to you as a topic, and I was like, we've been down this road before. I don't even think Joe's going to be into this, but yeah, you got really passionate about that. And good for you, man.
Hey, man, I got a little bit fired up about it for sure. And, like I was saying, it probably would have even been a better episode if you and I had like vastly disagreed on it.
Yeah, I wish we could get that. I should reach out to the guy that basically said if he doesn't get fed, he's going to tank the job.
Well, that guy should come on.
Lou,
he did
put the original post up. He reached out to me and he thanked me, and he said he was kind of joking about the original post. Which
that's what I said. I said
through it.
He reached out to me as well, and I was like, man, I hadn't listened to it back, but I'm pretty sure I stood up for you. And he was like, you did. But he did reach out to me. The guy, the original rap. Chicken salad wrap poster.
I don't know how to pronounce
Guzzo. Yeah.
Guzzo.
Anyway, shout out Lou for starting a great conversation.
And I said, hey man, thanks. We're always looking for good content. So
keep it going.
Plant the seed for us. That's what we have. For 4 years, we've pretty much beaten every dead horse.
That's right. Right. Please post something else controversial.
Right.
Anybody.
Idea.
Yeah. We love your controversial posts because we take them and make them into easy podcast episodes.
And I basically troll DJ idea sharing looking for
right.
content. Like, I'm constantly going, this could work. This could work.
It's like Baba Booey probably on like the gossip sites looking for stuff to talk about on Stern.
Right. Exactly.
But ironically, and if he wants to come on next week, Digital Dave said he had not necessarily a retort, but some like arguing points. And listen, God bless you, Dave. I love you. One of my favorite DJs ever. There's nothing he can come on here and say that I'm going to be like, you're right. You should be eating.
Well, listen, Dave he's a friend of the show. And
he's
he's
a friend of mine.
I think he should be welcome back. We already have a topic for next week, which is we'll tease it. We'll do a Richie Stedman tease at the end.
That's right.
But yeah, let's have Dave on some other time, and he can talk about how important it is to get fed a quality meal at a wedding, and if he doesn't, how he's going to what could Dave do?
I don't know. I just it was
We Are Family on a loop for 4 hours. What's he gonna do?
Oh geez, I don't know. I was just trying to see exactly what he said to make sure I'm not. Anyway, it's okay. We will definitely have you on. We love you, Dave.
Yeah.
No matter what you say. All right, check it out. So this week, another friend of the show kind of sent in a topic, and I think, again, Mike and I are, 230 episodes into this thing. We've been doing this a long time, so we've touched on some of these points before. But John Sawyer's friend of ours, friend of the show, sent in a topic, and Mike and I were like, yeah, we should talk about that, especially with the impending summer coming up. So here's what he writes. I just want to read it just so I don't kind of skip over any of it. He said, you went from no events or very few events for a year. You lost an employee and you filled their role as salesperson. And I'm assuming he means you filled it as yourself, kind of like Mike did.
Right.
Yeah.
He's basically referencing what we talked about last week.
Correct.
Joe is talking about my upcoming schedule, which Joe is basically calling bananas. And listen, I calculated the other day, I will wind up doing, the last time I did this many personal events in a year was 20 years ago.
Wow.
And at first I was like, fuck, I was a younger man then. But
30,
I also thought, you know what? I'm in better shape than I was 20 years ago.
That's actually true too.
So I think I could kick my 35-year-old's ass today. So I don't, at first I'm like, I don't know if I can physically do this. But then I'm like, yeah, I'm up to this.
Yeah, anyway, no. If anybody is, you are. I mean, I just looked at it like, I mean, you'll admit it's bananas, right? But you're filling the void.
I am trying to recoup my losses
Correct.
from last year. I have a definitive retirement plan, which calls for me to put a certain amount of money away every year. And last year, I didn't do that. Now, I made enough money not to dip into savings,
Sure, but
I didn't add to my retirement fund. And this year, I'm hoping to.
It's a recoup year. I get it.
Yeah.
So you lost an employee and you filled their role as a salesperson, Mike. Now you're doing an event every week, and some weeks doubles and triples. You placed. Now, is this where you kind of like is hypothetically you place a Craigslist help wanted ad to bring people into your development program? Is that you, Mike, or is he?
Yeah. So I mean, basically, John's setup is you're busier than ever.
Yeah. Correct.
Right. And you too, Joe. I mean, you do more for the vault. The first of every month, Joe, I get an email from you.
Correct.
That talks about new content in the vault. And I am blown away at because I understand a little bit about creating content and making videos and everything else. And this has become a full-time job for you.
Correct.
And yet you still are doing some events. You still, I know Randy.
I think that's why people listen to me.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And I think of other DJ associations that are basically dying on the vine or probably well past the vine, because that saying basically means it never got started. But I think of some other associations that have been long-standing and are trickling down to nothing. And I think it's a twofold thing. And both of them you have in your favor. A, you're still a DJ. Some of them, the presidents or owners or whatever aren't. And so you lose some credibility. But then secondly, they're not putting out content like you are. You're putting out this amazing amount of content every month, which, by the way, if any of our listeners don't belong to the vault, you're silly. Get on. You're crazy not to.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that.
And so what I think John's point is you're busier than ever. How can you make sure you have some balance and some free time?
He says, what 2 or 3 things do you stop doing or give yourself permission to do less of in the midst of wedding season to fit this in, or do you simply work more hours? I think it might also benefit if you were to answer not only as the multi-op, but as the part-time weekend warrior trying to move to full-time. It's a great topic.
Great topic.
You want to start, Mike? You want to kind of throw some of your notes in first? Or
first of all, my day off is Tuesday, and meaning it's my day out of the office. That's not to say that I won't check emails from time to time or whatever, but it is really literally my day off.
That's
and
awesome.
I protect that with, like you can not touch me. And I'm all about customer service. I want to take care of my clients to the best of my ability. But when I say to a client, hey, you want to meet next week? I have Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday available. And if they say to me, yeah, sorry, none of those work, I'm not going to offer Tuesday. It's my day off. I'm not going into the office. And so I think you need to have something, whether it's one day or two. I mean, some people would think it's got to be 2 days. I'm fine with one full day off a week, but you got to protect it, and you have to be serious about it because you will burn out. And it's, you're better off keeping that one day off and being not productive on one day rather than giving that day up and then burning out.
Yeah. Ironically, Mike, I don't think I've ever done that. However, I also don't do the triples anymore. I know that's Sunday should always be a day off, but I kind of protect that day. And even my Saturdays leading up to leaving for the show, like I won't take a wedding appointment on that day.
So in other words, if you have a 5 to 10 on a Saturday, you're not going to meet at noon on that Saturday. Yeah. See, I will.
I mean, listen, man. Have I? Yes, but I'm not throwing it out there as an option.
Yeah.
And if somebody mentions it, I say, well, you know what? I got a wedding that evening. That's kind of cutting it close or something to that. I try and get out of it at all costs.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that because to me, if I'm working on a day, I'm working on a day. If to me, the difference between working an 8-hour day or a 12-hour day, I'm already working. I'm already taking a shower, putting on the suit, going to the office, doing whatever. So, and I mean, Saturdays can be a really good sales day. I mean, I went in last Saturday. Dominic and I basically rotate Saturdays.
Sure.
Last Saturday was my day in the office. I went in the office. I closed 3 deals. One of them was photo, video, and DJ. So
on the phone, or they actually came in?
No, actually 2 of the 3, one was a Zoom, and 2 of the 3 came into the office.
I'm clapping. And
actually, I had a 4th appointment that hasn't closed yet. So, I mean, that to me is pretty good productivity on a Saturday. And then I got home, and it's funny. Kelly knows my routine now. I like to even if I don't take a nap, I like to have a little bit of downtime before I have to leave for my gig. So like I got home at 1:30 Saturday. I didn't have to leave till 3. I laid on the couch. I think I shut my eyes for 10 minutes. But the main thing to me is just like getting ready.
Separate from that, right? From
exactly.
Mr. Sales Guy into the entertainer kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
I like that. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong, man. If somebody really wanted to meet on Saturday and I can go in there and close the Cardinal package, I'm gonna go in there.
But for you, Sunday is your day off.
Yeah.
Like you protect your Sunday.
Yeah.
Like you don't take other than. I mean, I'm sure if somebody calls and says Joe did my 3 sisters' wedding,
I'm doing it.
I have to have them. But for the most part, you keep your Sundays as sacrosanct. Like you can't touch that. And that's how I feel about my Tuesdays. I just I'd rather work a Sunday gig because I ain't making that money on a Tuesday. So I'd rather work a Sunday and then I work on Thursday, but I try not to do Thursday evenings because that's usually our date night, Kelly and my date night.
Okay. I love that.
And I think that's a big part of not just if you're in a relationship. If you're not in a relationship, I say make sure you have time for yourself. But if you're in a relationship, I think it's really critical to make sure that you have that one night a week and call it whatever you want. Kelly and I call it date night. And it doesn't have to just be Kelly and I. Tomorrow night, we're going out with friends. We're double dating, if you will. But Kelly knows Thursday night, unless I have a gig, in which case we move date night to Tuesday. But there's going to be one night a week where either we go out to dinner, and now that New Jersey's sort of reopening, we're going out to dinner, or we'll cook a really nice dinner and eat together and phones off and TVs off and have that kind of couples time.
That's coming from a man that knows what it takes to stay married.
Well, it's also coming from a man, right, who screwed up one.
He did. I was about to say he did go through it.
Doesn't want to screw up another one. Exactly.
Valid. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, in regards to my notes, John Sawyer's, I agree with Mike wholeheartedly. There has to be some sort of day off. Ironically, I went to the NACE meeting last night. We've been meeting in person now for about 4 months. There was probably about 40 people there. And my friend, local wedding planner here, Megan Gillikin, spoke at this thing. And by the way, her podcast is called Weddings for Real. It's a really good podcast for you guys that are podcast listeners, Weddings for Real. She actually spoke on boundaries. And, it's kind of ironic because here we are recording the very next day about setting boundaries with clients and how she's had to fire, clients before. How she's added clauses to her contract about, this no haggle clause that she's not going to go in and try and use her, relationship with Bunn DJ Company to get a $2,000 deal for $1,500. How there's a zero abuse, like mental, physical abuse policy. Like she's added these actual these clauses to her contract. No calls or texts after a certain time, like really spells it out in this kind of welcome kit to them. And it kind of made me think about this episode and also about not only setting boundaries with your clients and, with your phone and your emails and everything else. And listen, Mike and I are both guilty of, jumping on the phone when our families go to bed or, I dare say Mike probably fired off a couple of emails from the beach yesterday in New Jersey, so there's nothing wrong with that, but you do have to set boundaries and have downtime. And also, I guess, leading into delegation, he was saying, what other things would you do or change or put off on somebody? I mean, there are things that either Mike and I don't want to do, don't have time to do. Those are probably the two main things. And there are people within our companies that we can put that stuff on. Mike, give us a couple of examples of things that you just either don't want to do or don't have time to do in terms of either paperwork or just admin or even gear stuff, inventory. Like, what are some things that you delegate to?
I mean, the delegation is an excellent point, and you have to have confidence in the people around you, but you also have to have confidence in your ability to manage those people and your patience to manage those people. I'll give you a perfect example. I mean, I mentioned a few minutes ago about how Tuesdays are my day off, and I won't meet with a client when it's my personal wedding is coming up and it's our time to review. But if it's a sales appointment, I'll set it for a Tuesday but Dominic can show it. And that's, Dominic is my right-hand man, and he and I do sales together. So, and his day off is Wednesday, and he'll do the same thing for me. Sometimes I get in on a Wednesday and I look at my upcoming appointments and I'm like, oh, I don't recognize that one. Oh yeah, because Dominic said it for me. And the same thing will happen on a Tuesday or on that every other Saturday when I'm not in the office. If a client wants to come in, this Saturday is his Saturday. If I'm working a lead and she wants to come in this Saturday, absolutely. I've delegated that to Dominic, which means he's going to make more money than me because he's going to make the commission on that. But overall, I don't mind it. I have an office manager, Lynn Monaco, who's been with me longer than either one of us want to admit. And she does a lot of that clerical stuff and that stuff that could I do it? Yeah, but it would take me away from the things that I want to do to focus on elite entertainment. But B, it's not what I would enjoy doing. And that's always been my message to business owners. You started a company for a reason, and one of those reasons is that you get to do the things you like and you get to delegate the things you don't like. So make a list of the things you can't stand doing for your company and find somebody and hire somebody who can do those things.
And I, kind of talking about one of the latter points of his topic in terms of, single op versus multi-op. I mean, I think that applies to anybody, John. We're using the term company. A company can be one person, DJ John Sawyer's entertainment.com, whatever it is, and there are so many ways to get people to work for you that might not even be in the United States. I mean, you can go on indeed.com, you can, or Upwork is a great one, and get a virtual assistant for nothing to make social media posts for you, to send out your contracts, to do the things that you either don't want to do or don't have time to do. Or if you do have a multi-op and you do kind of have a DJ within that camp that's been with you for a while and that you trust and that wants to earn part-time money, I don't even know that it's a full-time job because they can work, let's just establish, X number of hours a week. It might only be 10 hours a week that you need them to do things. They can do it from their home. They don't need an office. And you can pay them an hourly, which is very moderate or mild, and then they can make up for it in the phone calls or the emails that they respond to. Say, look, hey, if you handle all these emails and phone calls, take first dibs on the shows that come in. That's what Randy does. I don't pay him a ton of money a week, guaranteed money, but I can't imagine how many shows or, these off-day pool parties and things that he puts himself on because they just come in to him, and which is fine with me. That's how he earns his salary, quite frankly.
Right. So you mentioned a little bit earlier that you are sure I sent some emails from the beach yesterday, and you're correct. And we should just tip our cap to our sponsor here, DJ Event Planner, because one of the reasons I'm able to do that is that I have DJ Event Planner, and I can literally check availability. I can respond to emails. I can send an automated email, or not automated, but I can send one of our pre-done emails through the system. It's not the easiest thing on the phone. It's much easier on a laptop, but it's possible. It is definitely possible. And yes, I sat on the beach yesterday. I got an email from a client that I've been working. She wanted availability on her date. I was able to look up which DJs were available. I sent her an email about which DJs to check out. And I don't consider that breaking from my day off. As a matter of fact, deep down inside, I love that feeling because here I am literally sitting on the beach, staring at the Atlantic Ocean. It was too cold to go in the water right now, but chilling, getting some sun, and I can peek at my phone every once in a while and stay in touch. I did the same thing. Kelly and I were in Maine for 12 days, and I stayed on top of my clients and sales, and I set appointments for Dominic, and I actually closed a couple deals while I was away, ran credit cards, and then left, to-dos for Lynn. Hey, log this when you get in the office tomorrow. So, we're blessed with cellular technology, but we're also blessed with DJ Event Planner as our CRM, which helps us tremendously.
Both of us.
With that. I mean, we're going to be in Chicago next month, and I won't be out of touch during the Marquee. I will be in touch, and that's how I do it.
Yeah, shout out to Marquee Show. If you haven't pulled the trigger and grabbed a ticket, do so, because both of the people on this podcast. You can see live in person.
As a matter of fact, since we're talking about it, that is our teaser for next week. We'll call this the Richie Stedman teaser. Next week's topic is all about the Marquee Show. Joe and I are going to be kind of running it down, telling you what we're looking forward to, giving you a little preview of each of our own topics, and hoping to see a bunch of our listeners there.
And we're definitely going to record live there.
Yeah.
One possibly 2 episodes. So definitely we'll talk more about that next week.
I have one other tip, but I want to. Do you have anything else?
Let me hear your last one, and maybe I'll.
So, and this is something I've talked about in seminars, and I wrote about it in that little book, the 10 things you can do to have a better day. And I just mentioned Kelly and I had our vacation to Maine. We already have our next vacation planned. And I've always said vacations, there are many benefits of going on vacation. The actual going away is only part of it. You know, we had 12 fantastic days up in Maine, and it was great to get away and see a beautiful part of this country that I'd never seen, and have some amazing hikes with our puppy and everything else. That was great. But the anticipation of a vacation is just as important. You know, I had a very busy winter doing sales, not doing a lot of events, but doing sales and still, postponing a lot of events.
Grinding,
working a full-time plus job all winter long. But knowing I had this vacation coming up in Maine in early May was extremely important to my head level. And Kelly and I, we've already got our tickets purchased. We're going to Jamaica in February next year.
Nice.
Now that might seem like a long way away, but we all know time flies. It'll be here before you know it. It's funny because we booked the airfare. We don't have a place to stay yet. So I've reached out to a few people to get some advice about whether we want to stay in a Sandals or, just a hotel. But we have that next vacation. We have it pinned on the calendar. I have dates blocked off. Flights are booked. We are going away. And that will get me through. John was commenting on my schedule, which is busier than ever. That will help me get through some of my manic weeks where I'm working 80, 90 hours between the office and gigs. And I'm going, but I'm going, you know what? I'm going to be in Jamaica in February. I can't wait. 10 days, planting my ass on the beach. So if you don't have that next vacation planned, do it, man. Do it.
Mike has always been better at this than I am. I used to be good at it, look at the year in advance, fill it in. And now it's almost like Randy books my shows, and then I'll look at the calendar, and then I'll find the gap, and then I'll put a date in. The way Mike does it is much better. Take his advice, not mine on this, but it is imperative to get out there. I'm sure there are people listening like, I can't afford a trip to Jamaica. I can't afford to go to Maine for 12 days. Okay, understandable. Pick Jordan Lake, or something local to go to. Go camping, borrow your friend's RV. A vacation doesn't have to be Iceland. You don't have to be Mike Walter lavish like that. You can if you can't afford it, or 2020 killed you, or you didn't have a great 2021. Like, there are other ways to take a vacation, to get away, to go to your local lake or beach or whatever, and just take some time. You know what I mean? And again, use your resources. Like, I know people with houses all over the world. I don't know that I've ever really taken advantage of that, but I mean, I know people not all over the world either, just all over the country. Mike and I met DJs from everywhere, and it's, amazing how welcoming and gracious people can be, and they want to see you. Look at Big Earn. Big Earn.
You are so reminding me of this has got to be close to 20 years ago. When Kelly and I first started dating, we had a trip to California, and I was at Mobile Beat chatting with the Kramers. Do you know Bo and Melissa Kramer?
Real well.
And I mentioned I was taking Kelly out there. She'd never been to California, and I wanted to show her the wine region, Napa Valley. And they said, don't go to Napa Valley. Come down and visit with us. We'll show you around. And we did. They live Paso Robles, or close to that, which is a wine region in California, but not as famous as Napa and Sonoma.
Sure.
And we just had the most amazing day. We didn't sleep I think actually we did stay at their house one night. Maybe we did. but they took us around to some of the wineries that they're familiar with and they know, and we got these great VIP tours because we were with them. And I mean, that was an opportunity that I didn't even seek it. They were like, they had heard that we were coming and we invited. So I mean, Joe makes a great point. If you've networked well, you probably know people from all over this country. Utilize that. And your point about taking a wait and see, and you'll find I did too many Monday through Thursday vacations in my life, because if you're booked on 2 weekends in a row, that's pretty much all you can do.
That's it.
Losing one or 2 weekends a year out of your calendar ain't that big a deal.
I agree.
And the difference between a Monday through Thursday vacation or a Monday through the following Thursday vacation is huge. No one's going to go to Europe for 4 days. I mean, I guess you could technically, but nobody wants to go to Europe for 4 days. Nobody wants to fly across the country, spend 1 day, and then get on a plane and go back.
Silly.
But when you've got 12 days to do it, you can get pretty in depth as far as vacation. So if you haven't done it for this year, do it for 2022. You probably right now, I'm going to assume you might have some weekends off in 2022. Just block 1 or 2 of them off and give yourself a real legitimate getaway, clear your head, see something in this world that you've never seen before. It doesn't have to be Europe. It doesn't have to be something like Joe said, exotic. Kelly and I drove to Maine 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's not the most exotic vacation in the world, but it was amazing. It was a great experience. So
it looked awesome. I
think it's a big part of the answer to John's question about how do you maintain your sanity and how do you get through. Now, part of it is, John, yes, I'm going to work more hours this year than I did last year. Well, I mean, obviously last year, but this will be a busier year, but that doesn't mean there are still parts of it. What's the word the speaker used last night? Boundaries. I have boundaries on certain days.
I was literally going to say there's boundaries. He's established so he doesn't burn himself out, and that he goes into 2022 still loving DJing just as much as he does today.
And that Kelly's not divorcing me because we got an open. And listen, we've talked about it, and she's been well aware of it as this. I've told her, Kelly, when we get back from Maine,
it's on.
I'm going to hit the ground running, and you are not going to see me. And it really went from 0 to 60 because I did hardly any events in 2020. I didn't have a very busy first quarter, so I've been home a lot, and now I ain't home that much. So, she's been well aware of it from day one.
Yep. It's part of being married to a DJ, I guess. Yeah. Special place in heaven for those for those people.
Exactly.
Well, guys, thank y'all for listening. John, I hope that helped answer your question a little bit. Everybody, thank y'all so much for listening. And again, tune in next week. We'll be doing a little preview of the Marquee Show, which is coming up in June in Chicago. Thanks, y'all.
Ciao.